Hi, my name is Kevin Paprick. I'm part of NetApp's Cloud Infrastructure Business Unit. What I want to show here is a PowerShell script I created that will take a data store on NetApp HCI that was protected by a snapshot and automatically bring that back in, clone it out, bring it back into VMware, and present it as a data store so that you can recover VMs off of it. So what I have here is I'm going to show you this storage, what data stores I do have out there. And we have this one KP test DS1. And in the file list, we don't see any VMs in there. If I go to the VM list, it's also the same, so there are no VMs. I'll also show you the element management plugin. And going into management, it's going to load up the data stores. So we will also see the data store in here. So we see KP test DS1, and we also see that data store has the same volume name associated with it. Next, you can run our PowerShell, PowerCLI on your host and bring all those bits in. I feel like it's easiest just to use it as a container. So I have a container built that has both of those. So on the right-hand side, I already ran this command because I also wanted to present my credentials into the system. So I presented those credentials, and that is where we are. So now I pass that into the /scripts, and I can see all my scripts out here. So I am going to now run this script to clone. So what this script is going to start by doing is it initiates a connection to both VMware and your NetApp HCI system based on the credentials you passed in. It's now asking you, what is the volume name of the data store you're restoring? And I mentioned I wanted to use KP test DS1. So it's now going to scan that, make sure that data store actually exists, and then it presents to you the snapshots that are available on it with the dates. So if we look at these, we have ones from today, ones from yesterday. This 465 right here, I know was done before I deleted off the VM, so I'm going to use 465. So now it's going to wait for the clone to complete. So it starts, and now that we have this snapshot associated with that volume, it's initiating a clone on NetApp HCI. That clone won't take up any space because we have deduplication and compression. So it is just a metadata copy of the volume. Now, once this clone completes, it's going to then do a rescan on VMware and present that back. So we'll just wait for this process to complete, and while we go through that, I am going to show a step through the script. We can see under VMware, it's doing all these rescans. So as I look at the script, what we did here is we set up those connections. We saw that. I mentioned I passed in my credentials. So you could just manually update these as well. It then grabs the volume name. So this is where I asked you what volume name you want to restore. It then takes that and lists all the snapshots that are associated with it. And we see there where it asked you what snapshot you wanted to clone. It then creates a clone with a new name, waits for that to complete. So we see this, I'm running that every 10 seconds, check it again. Once it's done, we grab that clone volume and we add the volume into the same volume access group if you were using volume access groups as what the original data store, the source data store was using. Then does the rescan that I switched over while that was going on. Once it's done is we are going to set up ESX CLI and it will resignature that volume, which then brings it back as a data store. So let's just see here, open that script. We can see true, it has completed and we exited the script. So we'll go into storage now. And so this was that original KP test DS1. Again, nothing in there. What we now brought in though is this new snap data store. So this is the one that we just restored using PowerShell. And we have here our cent7 test VM. So the next process is it's not going to automatically register it. So we see here that there are no VMs in there. So what we'll do is we'll go and register that VM. I right-clicked register, select the file. I have my cent7. Check set for contents, and we'll press OK. We'll say this is our restore. I'm going to pick a node that I want to put it on. That succeeded. And press finish. It now registered the VM. And we have fully recovered it back into the system. So let's just see here. Here we go. I've now brought that in. If you wanted to then storage vMotion it over to the original data store, we could do that. So we'll just do that really quick. So we'll change storage only. I'm going to put it back into KP test DS. So that's now completed. We go in, there's no VMs in this data store, we're all complete. So I can delete this data store off. Another process that I could have used our element management plugin that would have actually done it all automatically. So it would have deleted both these snapshots. So, this actually is saying we are still busy. So we may have to wait a little bit. Try that again now. Okay, now it completed. The move finished. So that has cleaned up. I could have also done that, as I mentioned, right in this element management under data stores. I could have cleaned it up there and it would have automatically removed the volume. As I took a different approach on there, we see it right here. And I'll just go to Actions, Delete. And we are all cleaned up after we restored a volume. And that completes this demo of cloning a snapshot backup of a data store into a new data store to then recover a VM.